Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You, and today I'm taking a look at the Oris Big Crown ProPilot Worldtimer. So this is one of Oris's, I guess this is actually, I believe, their flagship model, and it offers some very cool aspects into this timepiece, and especially the movement I think is really cool. But first of all, on this timepiece, I'm going to go over the case. So the case is 44 millimeters. It's stainless steel, and you can see it has some polished and brushed surfaces. The bezel is polished on top, and then the sides of the case are all brushed. The finishing is good quality for the price point, definitely. This watch comes in at $3,600, but when I get to the movement, you'll understand. I mean, the finishing on this, it's obviously not going to be Rolex, but I think that for this price point, it's pretty good. The brushing looks nice, polishing looks great as well, and then the machining on the bezel looks great too. But now let's get into the dial and the substance of this timepiece. So you can see there's a lot going on this dial, and I think it's one of the most, probably the most interesting Oris. So at 9 o'clock, you just have running subdial seconds. But then over here at 3 o'clock, you have the date window for the local time, and then you have a dial with a second time zone. So there's also, you can see that the second time zone is in 12-hour time still, but then it has a day-night indicator window just to the left of the stock there, which honestly, I almost prefer that because you really do everything in 12-hour time, so having to convert back from 24-hour time can be a little bit harder, but by just putting the day-night indicator there and then 12-hour time, I think that makes it a little easier to read. They did also include a minute hand here. The minute hand will always be synced up though with the local time, so that wasn't truly necessary, but it might be nice to have as well in addition. So now the cool thing about this watch is actually the bezel. So it looks very unassuming from the outside, especially because many other Oris models have this kind of bezel. But you can actually turn the bezel to change the time on the local time. So you can jump the hours, and that's why they call this the Worldtimer. So it has 2 time zones, but you can also jump the hour hand by twisting the bezel, and it goes back and forth both ways, which is absolutely one of the coolest features. I love watches that utilize their bezels for the actual function of the movement. I think that it's one of the most incredible things. Some of the only watches that I know that do this, I like the Rolex Skydweller, the Rolex Yachtmaster 2, and the IWC Worldtimer series, Pilot's Worldtimer series, where they have the ceramic bezel that you use to change the time zone. It's one of the coolest functions, one of the easiest ways to change the time zone. And if you're a pilot and you're frequently crossing time zones, this is a very easy system to do it. One other thing I'll point out about this is most GMT watches, especially around this price point, allow you to jump the GMT hand hours, not the local time. Now that's one thing that I think is quite impractical, because you want to be able to change your local time when you arrive to do a new destination, but almost always you'll want to leave your GMT time the same, because you'll either have that as like your home time or something, and you won't want to change that. So I think that this is a lot more useful system, and I really like it. So what it looks like though when you change the time is if you pull it out, there's a quick set date as well, but if you pull it and change the time, these just move in sync with each other. So you get the GMT hand and local time to have a difference through the bezel, which I think is really cool. Now I will mention that this is an ETA 2836 based movement, but it's obviously heavily modified. I'm sure they have a whole module on top of this movement that allows them to give it this 2 time zone feature with the adjustment of the bezel. They call it the Worldtimer. It doesn't have the cities on here, but it still just makes it so easy to change time zones, and I really like that. So you can see the movement through the back, actually. Not very much finishing there. It would be nice if Oris did some finishing, but again, for the amount of movement you're actually still getting here, for the price, it's not too bad, just for the complexity and things they added to it. So the clasp is actually really cool on this. So it's the Oris seatbelt style clasp where it says lift. You'll obviously recognize that shape if you fly at all on commercial airlines, because that is the standard seat buckle shape, and all you do is you pull it up and then it comes out, and then to put it back down, you just press that in, and then there you go. It's actually a very easy system, and it's a cool kind of motif that they did. I do find it sometimes, however, though, that if you don't have the longest fingernails, you might have a little bit difficulty getting under the clasp. Oh, I put this on upside down. Sorry. So on the wrist, though, the 44 millimeter size is quite large, and that's not really a bad thing because this is supposed to be a sole pilot's watch, and I actually prefer the more kind of, I guess, militaristic kind of looking one where it's a matte black dial and then it has some yellow accents and it comes on a green canvas strap. I think that one looks really great, but this is kind of the more, I guess, classy looking version, a little bit more dressy than that. But being a pilot's watch, 44mm size still is kind of the standard just for the extra legibility. And it does wear quite comfortably. However, the lugs sweep down quite heavily there, so they don't really stick out on your wrist at all. And the strap is very comfortable. It's a nice thick brown leather strap. So the price of $3,600, I think you get a lot actually for your money in this watch, because there's really no other watches around that price point that I think have a cool of a mechanism as this timepiece. So I really like that they included that. I would like to mention that this watch was lent to us for the purpose of this review by JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'll be leaving a link in the description to their website if you would like to inquire about purchasing this timepiece or any of the other watches in their collection. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.